The following project is entitled Teaching of the Truth in the Ecuadorian and Anglo-Saxon Education. Whereof one cannot speak, thereof one must be silent. Ludwig Wittgenstein. We live in a world where everything is connected. We can no longer think in terms of us, but as individuals who happen to be immersed in an influencing, changing world and fragmented society. We all are a product of a way of thinking, a language, culture, beliefs, political ideologies, social status, which have been imposed along centuries into nations' idiosyncrasy. In this regard, so many conflicts have emerged on the development of men throughout times due to an arbitrary, unscrupulous manipulation of the truth and fragmentation of the logic and morality, which are the fundamental basis of creating a more human and just society. And paraphrasing what Martin Luther King Jr. once said, I have a dream that one day this nation, this world, will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold this truth to be self-evident that all men are created equal. All men and women are created equal in terms of value. Of course, it's inevitable that some differences exist, but we all have the same rights. And the rights we stand for are right to life, liberty, and private property. Because not everything can be considered a right, otherwise that would contradict principles of logic and morality. Truth is allied with logic, and these two are based on reasoning, intelligence, rather than emotion, sense, or relativism, assumptions. What is why conflicts take place among us. To understand a little better, it's important to comprehend the reality of these two cultures.
Cultural aspects. Culture is closely tied to its language. It shapes the overview of every single person regarding the world. From the Aboriginal tribes like the Quechua, Shuar, Afro-Ecuadorian culture, to modern imperialist American culture. Language is an integral element of these cultures. It not only carries the means of communication but the cosmovision, knowledge, and identity of a community. However, in the current context of globalization, our cultural environment is undergoing changes and becoming more and more diverse. Cultural diversity is an essential condition in human society and needs to be developed and managed appropriately to avoid problems of understanding and tolerance that can lead to problems such as discrimination, xenophobia, and stereotypes, among others. We encounter interculturality as well, but it can be said that core of interculturality is relativism. Now the question is, should interculturality consider a relativist truth rather than an absolute one? Now, according to Kebab Malik, universalism is considered by postmodernists as being inherently racist, a dangerous Eurocentric fantasy that serves to impose European and American culture and values of rationality and objectivity on the rest of the world. Yet this global consciousness is competing with other movements which seek to separate and to divide us one from another. We see walls and barriers being constructed and people seeing themselves as insiders and outsiders. We are being called to be prophetic and to build bridges to join our diversity into a multifaceted whole. Moreover, the effects of colonialism are seen in our contemporary society with features of fascism.
Religions and politics. From capitalism to socialism, political ideology are viewed as a certain set of ethical ideals, principles, doctrines, myths, or symbols of a social movement, institution, class, or large group that explains how society should work and offers some political and cultural blueprint for a certain social order. American class systems is based on money. Americans pride themselves on their lack of class consumptions and don't have the same caste distinctions and pretensions that are common in the old world. There is no sense of class as portrayed by the eternal struggle between the bosses and workers in some European countries. In the US, workers don't want to do away with the wealthy. On the contrary, they adore the rich and famous and simply want to get a piece of the action. Religion, as it is pretty now, has been an instrument of domination of the masses. Max Weber stated that the Protestant ethic and the spirit of capitalism broke and shatters the idea that everything is gendered by God. Throughout his book, Weber emphasized that his account is incomplete. He is not argued that Protestants caused the capitalistic spirit, but rather that it was one contributing factor. He also acknowledged that capitalism itself had impact on the development of the religious ideas. The full story is much more complex than Weber's partial account, and Weber himself constantly reminds his readers about his own limitations. In the literatures of pure theology, it is possible to locate the idea of a Messiah who is going to appear to save people from evil. This affirmation has been manipulated and transferred to the political settings, so much so that common citizens no longer wait for a Messiah like the one in the Bible, but rather a revolutionary Messiah for him or her to eradicate the evil generated by the bourgeoisie and give hope of bread, shelter, and employment to the proletariat.
Differences between American culture and Ecuadorian culture in terms of knowledge and axiology. Comparative world philosophy weds together an equal and multiculturally inclusive dialogue. Not only the philosophical voices of East Asia, South Asia, and the West, but also those of the indigenous Americans, Africa, Australia, and Polynesia. The voices of all the globe's people are to be heard, not just those of its most powerful vocal members. We can comprehend that the Ecuadorian people are influenced by the imperialist American culture. Somehow we have lost our identities or vision of the world. It's way too different. Colleagues are not as critical thinkers as American students. One cause of this is that there are subjects that you can only study at American soil, as at Oxford or Harvard, such as Anglo-Saxon, North and Celtic, architecture, land economy, and anthropology. Subjects include the famous philosophy, politics, and economics degree, fine art, and some joint degrees such as mathematics and philosophy. It's also worth comparing course description, as the approach taken by each university can differ more than you might expect. Ecuadorian educational system seems to be neglected and stuck in the past. Research indicates that American system is at least 18 years ahead of us in terms of knowledge and technology. Universities in Ecuador work awfully to form good, great professionals, but most of the product ends up in factories or state jobs instead of contributing to the development of the country in terms of science or technology. The typical American student is brash, friendly, competitive, industrious, forthright, optimistic, litigious, patriotic, wealthy, serious, demonstrative, altruistic, effusive, dynamic, outrageous, efficient, a religion zealot, helpful, demanding, individualistic, hustler, ambitious, proud, extrovert, pragmatic, materialistic, trusting, honest, hard living. While a young graduated student from local university cannot distinguish basic laws of life, Ecuadorians need information in order to make their minds up on something. One shouldn't take this negatively or as an intrusion, but rather be forthcoming with information. In conclusion, there's a huge wealth between these two products of the educational systems and cultures in the world. Americans and Latin American people come from diverse social, economic, and geographic backgrounds. They can be very different depending on their family, heritage, and national origin. However, there are some human similarities that tend to bring these diverse backgrounds together. There are the truth and the logic, is the universal language and culture of human beings, fixed ontology, despite of the social construction or ontology of flow that is present in our reality as well.